like I cut out like a lot of carbs, but I still ate some.
We were recording any of it.
Are you kidding?
So none of this was recording? Oh my gosh.
Hey.
And welcome back.
All right. Okay, so we didn't record, and we talked about, first of all, how the setup. So like how your like childhood started. So like, you didn't just wake up fat. You got fat.
Yeah.
So how did that happen? How did that play out?
So I mean, I was a normal sized kid, like always active, loved being outside, and like, was normal size, like wasn't big, was just kind of on the probably regular growth chart, as you would say, up until like 4th or 5th grade. And then at that point, like slowly started, just kind of getting bigger. And then I was a lineman, so it was kind of cool to be bigger. Getting up into like high school, just kind of kept getting bigger and bigger, like up to my, it was honestly like there was never really a plateau point past 7th or 8th grade. It just kind of steadily climbed like up until senior year. I finished high school at like 310 and then just skyrocketed after that.
And no one early on tried to prevent it from getting worse or stepped in or...
Yeah, I don't want to like my mom was always supportive and like trying to suggest healthier options. Yeah. And there probably were other people who would like try to suggest healthier options to me, but like that's a touchy thing to like look at somebody, especially like, like Tommy and I've known each other forever. And like that, I can only imagine like being in Tommy's position, like coming to me in college and being like, "Hey man, you gotta rein it in." Like that's a tough conversation to have with somebody, and like you don't want to make somebody mad or like and people, there's always excuses. I mean, I had excuses of why I was big and why I hadn't lost my weight yet, and like it can just get awkward. And I feel like people didn't, I know a lot of people cared, but it's hard to figure out how to have that conversation with somebody.
Yeah. No, sure. I'm sure. I mean, like, okay, so like we already went through this. We pulled up some footage of of Chaz doing the famous wing challenge in college, and even when we started this, because I'd say it was mutual. Like you were. So the setup is we challenged Chaz to eat 50 boneless wings from Buffalo Wild Wings in one sitting.
Yep.
And there was a moment where when we were going to purchase them, we were like, should we be doing this? Are we enabling this bad behavior? But we were in college, and it was just too funny not to do it.
You guys didn't tell me that until like 2-3 years later, too.
We literally had a deep discussion about the morality of what we were doing. And I think Spencer's dad was like on the phone and shit.
I was gonna say Dr. Brookover was not happy.
Dr. Brookover didn't like that we did that. So we're gonna roll the footage of Chaz doing the Buffalo Wild Wing Challenge, April 17th, 2016.
Yeah. But your body made it even better. Okay.
See Cade.
15 left.
15 left.
It's getting close. We'll have miles and fries.
Anyway, so we also had you describe what a typical meal was for you.
Day in the life.
Day in the life. Like I'm thinking like around this time, like peak. What was your peak weight, by the way? And what did a day look like at that peak weight?
So actually, and so it's kind of funny. So I was 430 pounds, and when I got that weight, it was actually at the Stillwater Milling Company in Claremore, which is like an ag center, and they have like vet scales. So these are for like dogs or small farm animals that you can weigh out. And so most scales stop at 400 pounds. And I remember, or like even 300 pounds, like a home scale that you'd step on, I'd step on it and it would read error. And so I remember like stepping on, I was with my
home scale said error?
Error. Yeah, it says error, it just goes blank. That's a crappy point. And I kept going after that one. But I stepped on that scale at Stillwater Mill. and read like 430 point something and just jumped right off immediately and was like, oh, okay, last time I checked that, we were like pushing 400, not quite there. Like, holy crap, like it is time to, yeah.
I mean, because I'm sure you get to a certain weight, and then the more you gain from there, it's not even like noticeable, you know?
Oh yeah. No, I mean, that's the thing. Like you see in the video, I mean, I gained 50 to 60 pounds after that video, but like you see pictures and it's just like, it's just obesity. Like you can't even really see like, oh, you can tell when you gained that weight or, you know, it's just like, and I mean, I'm sure I fluctuated some weight, but I never, you know, never to like I was working out. It was probably just like, for some reason I went down a little bit, but it was a continuous build up to 430.
Okay, so day in the life. Take us through.
Oh, day in the life. So I'm going to go through a Friday meal, which is like kicking off the weekend in college. Not really, because like the weekend started Wednesdays or Thursdays, just being honest. It was not the most studious person. But so Friday morning, get up, go to Old School or Daylight. The order from Old School Bagel, and this isn't Stillwater, everything breakfast bagel with a side of cream cheese, and then another just either bagel and cream cheese or jalapeno sausage roll, and then usually a yogurt parfait and then a chocolate milk. From Daylight, Daylight at the end of the strip, it would be 3 or 4 sausage rolls, a chocolate long john, and an apple fritter, and sometimes some donut holes with it. For why, I have no explanation. I just loved eating. And then after that, like a snack or a Coke or something unhealthy was always in there between lunch. And I wasn't even hungry, but I would just eat because that's all I thought about was like
habit.
food. And yeah, it was literally, habit. Lunch, my go-to lunch in Stillwater was Chick-fil-A, and it would be 2 spicy chicken sandwiches followed by a 12-count nugget and then a large fry, all fried, none grilled. That wasn't even an option. And then some large drink with it. And then the best was like all my buddies were little and like worked out and like cared about what they looked like in college for a good reason. I don't mean that in a negative way at all. And so they would stop eating, like they would order a sandwich and a nugget to like try to hang with me, but they would leave some nuggets or fries and I would polish that off. So there was always a little bit added to that. And then sometimes that meal was duplicated for dinner. And I still, guilty pleasure, sometimes eat that meal now, but it's 1 sandwich, 8-count nugget, and a small fry, I promise.
And not twice a day.
And not twice a day. Maybe once I haven't had Chick-fil-A in a while.
What was your like soda intake like, pop?
Oh, it was bad. Sometimes, I remember there was a day that I bought a 12-pack of Dr. Peppers, and I bought it in the morning, and by like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, there was 4 left in the bottom of it. And like I would get the 64 ounces, like always try to get Diet Coke, like being like that's a joke. Like Diet Coke is healthier than Coke, but not really when you're drinking like a gallon of it. But I mean, there's days where literally like a gallon of soft drink followed by probably like a water bottle maybe, or some days where there was like no water. I mean, I remember one day like I woke up and thought back to the last time that I had like put water in my body, and I think it was
Oh my god.
like a couple days.
And all that sodium.
Oh yeah, a lot of sodium, like beer too.
Not
Like
a lot
I would
of
just
water
drink
drinking.
Gatorade, and I'm like, now I'm like, how could I mean?
Gatorade has so much sugar in it,
I
like
know.
normal standard Gatorade, and you
Yeah.
thought that was like,
I mean, I'm talking like 2 32-ounce Gatorades to start the morning to beat a hangover to go get some terrible meal to crank it off. Yeah.
So at what point did you decide I need to change something?
Fall of 2017. I still see myself like standing in the bathroom, looking at myself in the mirror, and I wasn't like, I never like hated myself. I was always like, I always loved myself, and I always knew like, I believed deep down that I was gonna lose the weight, and like, I mean, obviously like I have, but like it was kind of, I mean, it was scary to like think, and the easiest thing was just to keep going the way I was going instead of like breaking that habit and actually making that change. But yeah, I mean, fall of 17, I remember, and the first thing I did was John Connor he gave me his Fitbit, and I set the step goal to 7,500 steps before dinner, and I couldn't eat dinner until I did that 7,500 steps for the day. And then as I kept going, that was like my first thing. I'd just walk around, like no running, no jogging, just purely getting 7,500 steps in minimum for the day before I would eat dinner. And obviously the dinners were a lot different. It was usually like a protein shake and then some like meat and vegetables and a tortilla, or, you know, like a granola, you know, something like that.
This podcast is sponsored by Fitbit, by the way.
Yeah.
Just kidding. That'd be sweet, though.
That would be awesome. Still have a Fitbit. They're great.
So I think like that's like, okay, so when I see people like want to lose weight, I think that they get caught up in like the end goal and not just kind of like what they can do now and then. And I think that's just like a huge barrier for people. I mean, I think I see that with like really anything in life. And like, how did you combat that? Like just taking things one day at a time and not being like seeing where you wanted to be and just kind of like taking it in stride.
Or going like a
being
crazy
content with where you
diet
were in the moment and not, you know what I mean? Because I see people like Sydney mentioned, like, you know, people do a diet that's not sustainable or they'll just fall off. So it's like, how did you combat that? Like, over the course of losing weight?
For sure. And that was one thing that like I told myself, one, like the biggest thing is that you have to be ready to like lose that weight and start that journey. Like you can't be your wife or your husband or your friends, like that's all support, or your family, community, like that's all support and you have to have that. But like you mentally have to be prepared and like want to take that step. But like the biggest thing for me was starting with a step goal. And then it's kind of funny, my first weight goal was 325. And I was like, if I can lose 100 pounds, I'll look great, I'll feel great, I'll move around great, like everything, you know. And so I just kind of set that first goal. And one thing, it was nice for me, I still had the clothes. A lot of clothes from when I was not as big that I had far grown out of, because I made it to 4X big or stout on some stuff. And so having all these clothes that like, I mean, I can't even get my legs in. Like my legs are just so big, they don't even fit like in the leg of the jean or something. You know, I'd be like, this jean right here, I'm gonna be in this pair of jeans by this day, or you know, just something like that. Like small obtainable goals that you can like actually see. Like put a shirt back on that you used to wear, or like, you know, just something kind of like that. And don't have in your mind that you're gonna lose 200 pounds. Like if that's where you want to get to, that's where you're gonna get. But have small obtainable goals and stuff that like you look forward to. Like I remember the first day that I put my work jeans back on that like weren't behemoth sized, and like I was pumped to go to work in like cinch jeans that fit instead of like the bottom largest size Wranglers that Cavender's sells. Like small obtainable goals are like a shirt that you want to wear out to dinner. Like it's middle of the summer, in the fall I am wearing this shirt to a dinner. Like hit those goals that you get excited about, and the one that like put it on, okay, a little more, like, you know, just something that you can like keep working towards and build to.
So how fast did you start seeing progress? Because I feel like people who maybe obese, they lose, you know, the first amount pretty quickly, and then maybe like hit a plateau. Did you ever hit a plateau?
Yeah, I hit a lot of plateaus, and the first plateau was like discouraging in a way, but then like once you busted through it, it was like, okay, this is gonna happen again, and I know I can do it. But like,
what did you do to combat it? Like be more aggressive with your diet, or like pick up the exercise? Like what leverage you pulled to
it
get
really,
to the next
like
step?
Honestly, once I hit that first plateau, I knew that there was like, you know, there was a while, I ended up losing the 200 pounds in like a year I'm sorry, I lost 150 pounds in like a year. And then the rest came off after that. But I don't know, like, I was just very eager, and like once it started happening, I was so on board with it. And so like I just didn't let myself stop. I remembered what it felt like to be at that heavier point. That was really just a mental game, like imagining where I could be and like seeing where I could be. And like something funny that I would do is like, I remember my stomach used to lap out into my hands to where I would literally hold it like this to like hold it off. And I remember standing in the mirror and like turning sideways and pulling my gut up off my waist and like seeing almost like a waistline. and not like a lap of fat that just rolled over my belt, like called the Dunlap syndrome, where your belly Dunlap over your belt. But I literally like pulled it up and I could see my stomach and I was like, okay, like it's possible to lose. Like that is
Progress.
purely fat. Yeah. But I mean, there was a while where I was losing about almost like a pound a day, which at that point, like when you're so heavy and you make that switch like kind of so violent or like so quickly that like
easy.
it just falls off.
Yeah.
But yeah, that last 50 pounds, which is actually like, I really lost the majority of that in here. And that was big, like having this community to do. But I don't know, that first 150 pounds, like I had told so many people that I was going to, lose that weight. And like once it started happening, I just couldn't look back. And like, I wouldn't let myself, it just really just a mental game of constantly like remembering and thinking like where you want to be and where you know you can get. And like kind of where you've been before. Because like you said, I wasn't always this big and
So what was the in between? Because you started out walking, getting steps in. Now you're doing CrossFit. What was the in between? Like how you picked up intensity in workouts, or what you did or what you changed?
Yeah, it would be like kind of, I guess, interval running where I would go for a walk and then I'd be like, okay, you're going to run from this street to this street. And then you can walk like, or you're going to walk this whole loop, but that hill, you have to run up that hill. I'd started hitting that. But I was I was scared for my legs because like that's a lot of weight to try to run on, and like Tulsa roads are terrible, so there's a lot of potholes, and there was times like when I was big that I'd roll my ankle that like I thought like my ankle snapped, and so I was like afraid of injuring myself. Like that was a big thing, taking it slow, because I was like, if you injure yourself, this is not going to be good because you're just going to hit that slippery slope again. But that, and then really like machine stuff. So I mean, everything that was kind of in a control, like what you kind of normally see, nothing really free weights, but just really just getting my fat burn going for like 20 minutes, getting my heart rate up to fat burn for 20 minutes, and then doing something like continuous after that, but maybe not having to be in fat burn. But yeah, it was just light weights, a lot of body weight, like trying to get like, I couldn't do a push-up forever. Air squats were tough, because I mean, when you're carrying that much weight, like those simple movements make such a hard workout that just is enough. Like you feel a lot of the burn just moving your body weight around.
I mean, and probably simply just like not eating as much as you did
Yeah.
the first at least 50 pounds. Like, I mean, you put effort into putting weight on. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
Like like you said you would eat like that. That's like effort.
Oh,
put into it.
Yeah, and that was the other thing too. Like it was after changing my diet and actually putting like healthier things. I mean, and even then, like the first 100 pounds, it's amazing. Like I wasn't eating anywhat near as healthy as I am now, which is kind of funny. But from where I was eating to that point, like it was enough to lose 100 pounds, which is like, that's something that I think should be noted for like people who are starting this journey. Like you don't have to just 180 like change it completely. Like just take baby steps, like cut X food, Y food out, or like cut back portions halfway. That's something that's.
Did you see any connection with sugar specifically?
Yeah, and like soft drinks. So I really don't drink soft drinks anymore. And that was something like, I think I would say, like people always say, if you stop drinking pop or stop drinking Coke or whatever, you'll lose 20, 30, 40 pounds depending on like how big you are. And that's like 100% real. Like I think started like part of the reason I lost so much weight so fast, so quick, was because I just cut the pop out and like stopped drinking as much beer, wasn't smoking cigarettes, which just like all that stuff just like leads to everything else that's bad.
Do you have health issues from being that big, or did you?
No, I don't have any like, well, actually, I mean,
Did
I've
you
got
go to a doctor ever and discuss your weight?
No.
Were you afraid to? there
Probably. I mean,
I would be.
yeah, I remember I
Like
went in.
ignorance is bliss in that situation.
No, for real. I went into ear, nose, and throat specialist. I couldn't stop snoring, and I felt like I was suffocating at night. And like, I'm sitting here going to a specialist and trying, like, and my mom's
When you're
just
still big.
400 pounds. And my mom's like trying to be sweet and like, like, yeah, we'll go get it checked out. Like there could be something wrong. And straight up the doctor like comes in, looks like a guy who is fit, works out every single day, like cares about what he thinks. He sits down and he's like, Chaz, he was like, the way to lose all the snoring and the suffocation at night is to lose this. And he just like wiggled around his neck where he didn't have anything. And of course me, I've got like this double chin and I'm like looking over at my mom like, did he just say that to me? Like, but he said it and just like was serious. And I was like, all right, well kind of, whatever. But like, that's something that I never let go of him telling me that. And I don't have anything against him. Like that's stuff that I needed to hear. And like, I still remember, and like that kind of carried with me. And then I was ready. I was like, I mean, that doctor is the only guy who straight up told me like, lose weight. And your health issues, like I kind of had like a perpetual cough and allergies, which is all just like fat being right here. And he was like, straight up, lose weight, lose those problems. And I don't snore, I don't feel suffocated at night anymore, and I don't have a cough. So he was
that
accurate.
weight, like how much was like your weight like distributed across your body? Because like people think weight and it's like just think their belly, but like. No,
I mean pretty well.
You said it was in your neck and affected your breathing.
I mean, yeah, I mean like literally you can even see like my old pictures of my hands and stuff. Like
the thing about Chaz though is there's that saying that it's like, oh, I'm not fat, I'm just big boned. Well, thanks, Ashley.
Thank you.
Shout out to Ashley. But I think for you like the saying like big boned is like actually a thing, but you are also, of course.
Yeah, no, it is funny. I had a shoulder surgery and the doctor told me, he goes, you are big bone, but you're also just big. But no, yeah, that's what was crazy is like I could probably fluctuate 40 pounds at my heaviest.
Actually, no, good.
And you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Like I could have dropped down to 390 from 430 to 390 and you would have no idea. I mean, my feet were fatter. My feet shrunk down. I used to be a 15 double wide, and now I'm just a 14 regular. So like my feet had fat, my fingers had fat, my arm, like it was very well distributed. Like you do see some people like, and it's unfortunate, they just carry it in like one spot. And like, that was one thing that I was fortunate enough that like, it was well distributed to like, at least it was kind of everywhere. It wasn't in one spot. But yeah, I mean, I remember like, I remember my chin and like going like this more and more and just like not feeling the roll come out. And I was like, good God, I'm going to have a neck. Because like for the longest time I didn't have a neck. And people like always joked about like, you literally don't even have a neck to grab. But like now I do, now I do.
Yeah.
It's funny.
That's crazy.
Didn't always know that.
So you've been doing CrossFit for over 2 years now?
Right at 2
years.
Coming up 2 years, yeah.
So what got you in the gym? I mean, I know, but
yeah, Tom Baum actually started CrossFit in high school for a little bit.
Fun fact, Chaz did CrossFit with me in like 2009, 2010.
Yeah. This one I was still
for
doing
like a month.
Yeah. It was.
So did John.
Did he really?
Yeah, you and John did it with me at Sky.
Dang. Golly.
And here we are.
And then some people
Still
continue it and look good and are healthy, and then some people jumped off the train, and yeah. But no, been doing CrossFit here for coming up on 2 years, and this plate, like I lost the weight, and I like was in a way better shape than I was originally, obviously. But like when I came here, I even realized, and I lost 40 to 50-ish pounds here. And I realized like there was another gear to kick, once I got here. And once I started working out with like groups of people, everything I did was like by myself in that first part. But like once I started working out with classes and then like seeing the stuff on the board that I wanted to do, but I had to scale it down, like that just lit a fire underneath me. And yeah.
And then you got to training for the Ironman.
I was yeah.
Is that your next goal?
Next goal is the Ironman, almost to date, 7 months away. It is May 23rd, 2021. Supposed to be last year, May 31st, 2020, but COVID put a little hiccup in that, but that's all right. Just another year to train. But yeah, so my training for the Ironman will really kick off in like the next month or two. I'll start getting back in that groove, and like I kind of keep a baseline shape. Well, it's new, but I'm keeping a baseline shape to where if I want to go do something, I can easily transition to that and start focusing on like stuff like that where it's endurance and a lot of conditioning.
Heck yeah. So I was thinking, so I weigh 175 pounds. So how many more pounds is that until what your old weight was?
you would need to throw 25 more pounds on yourself to.
Or,
What
for me to weigh, like, how much weight would I have to
Yeah,
carry?
so 25, 230. So yeah,
I was gonna
you're
say,
at
more than
you're
25.
At, no, I was thinking 25 to
Math.
get to 200. Yeah, no,
I need a
you're at
calculator. I don't have this off the top of
255.
my head.
No, it's 255.
255. I have to carry 255 pounds.
You'd have to throw on 255 pounds more to get
How?
to.
Okay, so obviously it's evenly distributed, so it's like not exact, but like
That's
how?
what's wild. I'll pick up that 150-pound sandbag and like
It'll wreck me.
Yeah.
Well, I want to try. I want to try and walk a distance like that. How would we do it? How would we put
I
that
weigh
much weight on
200
me?
and
We have weight vests and we have a 150-pound sandbag. I want to figure that out.
you can throw me across
Wait,
your shoulders. and walk
how
with
much
it.
is it?
We're gonna figure out how to put 250.
It needs to be
more pounds on it.
equally distributed
Oh, I
though.
gotcha.
Yeah, it has to be. We can just
Thank
put it
Because
on
that's a
weight
big
vest.
thing. Because I mean,
Let's
my
put-
legs were like tree trunks, and like I still have like large legs, but like how much larger they were than this? I mean, I bet you I lost close to like 65, 70 pounds of my legs. Which is like that being on your legs, that doesn't like all that weight up high is a lot harder to walk, which
Well-
is like wow, I was lucky that it was distributed.
And it's crazy to see how tall you are because even in those videos, you don't seem that tall.
Oh yeah, well it's just I'm so wide.
Yeah.
I mean it was like I remember it's funny like I mean my stomach used to sit like halfway between my hips and my knees, and like my width. I mean my arms never came down lower than this for a long part of my life because they couldn't. I mean there was no way to get my arms to come down. And it's actually funny, after I had my shoulder, I had a complete shoulder rebuild in 20.
unrelated to your weight.
Yeah, idiot four-wheeler accident. But anyway, long story short, I was a big guy when they did the shoulder surgery, and after I lost all the weight, I actually I could feel the tension in my shoulder because the way it was set for that surgery was from my arm being out here, and then once my arm actually hung down by my side, it like took a while to stretch those cadaver ligaments out and like get them to where they would hang without being like really feeling that tension in there. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Heck yeah. Anything else you want to say?
Any advice?
Biggest advice, one, don't stop. There's no excuse, and I'll say that because there isn't. I mean, I always told myself, like, it's going to be hard, and I never actually, it's kind of hard to believe in yourself, but, like, never stop. It is always possible, and start with small goals. Like, don't go immediately to losing that big amount of weight and only focus on that. Like, find that one size down pants you want to put on. Find that old shirt that you used to look so good in and make that your goal. And just really small baby steps, and find a good support group. Friends who will encourage you, friends who know how to talk to you and tell you, like, if they see you slipping up, like, kind of remind you, like, hey, remember, you're doing this for this. Like, you're doing this for long term. Just, community and setting those small goals and just making the decision in your head. Don't let somebody else make the decision for you. Make the decision yourself. That's what I'd say.
Heck yeah.
I love it.
Good note to end on. I'm going to try and walk around with 250 pounds now.
I love that. Imagine a flight of stairs.